I remember being incredibly excited to hear that Bethesda was set to release Fallout 4. Fallout has always held one of my favorite universes to explore, and knowing that a huge new wasteland was going to make an appearance was a spectacular feeling. Exploring the Commonwealth for the first time was a great experience. Leaving Vault 111 and heading out into the vast wasteland felt really good in Fallout 4, and I still think it is one of the biggest strengths this entry has. The inclusion of an area like the glowing sea, which allows us to explore the unfiltered aftermath of a direct hit from the bombs that started the Great War, was a terrific choice and adds a level of immersion to the Commonwealth that some other games in the series lack. While I feel like the overall main quest and story leave a little bit to be desired, I do see Fallout 4 as a great game in the series. Among its flaws, it stands out as having a very fun combat system and a huge map area to get lost in, which holds some great hidden gems if you take the time to look. Today marks the 10th anniversary of Fallout 4, and I want to take a look back at our time with the game, much like I did with Fallout New Vegas for its 15-year mark. All of these Fallout games, whether good or bad, hold a place in my heart because I love the universe they take place in so much. So, while we fire up the brand new Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition that launches today, let's take a look at what got us here. Let's look at Fallout 4 10 years later. Fallout 4, released on November 10, 2015, created by Bethesda Game Studios, invites players into an open world set in a post-apocalyptic version of Boston and the surrounding Massachusetts area, collectively referred to in-game as the Commonwealth. Set in 2287, a decade after Fallout 3 and 210 years following the catastrophic Great War that led to a nuclear holocaust, you take on the role of the sole survivor. We awaken from long-term cryogenic sleep in Vault 111, a nuclear fallout shelter, only to discover the murder of our spouse and the kidnapping of our son, Sean. Driven by a desperate need to find our child, the sole survivor embarks on a journey through the Commonwealth. Throughout the game, we explore a wearied and devastated world, undertake quests, aid various factions, and earn experience points to level up and enhance our character's abilities. New features introduce the ability to create and manage settlements, along with a comprehensive crafting system, allowing us to use materials scavenged from the environment to craft items, unique weapons, and armor, and build and improve our homes. Notably, this is the first entry in the series to feature a fully voiced protagonist. Fallout 4 garnered favorable reviews from critics who praised its depth, player freedom, rich content, crafting mechanics, story, characters, and soundtrack. However, some criticism was directed at the game's simplified role-playing elements compared to earlier titles, as well as various technical issues. The game quickly became a commercial success, shipping 12 million units to retailers and generating $750 million within just 24 hours of its launch. It won numerous awards from gaming publications and events, including Game of the Year and Best Game at the DICE Awards and the British Academy Game Awards. Additionally, Bethesda released 6 downloadable content expansions, among which Far Harbor and Nuka World gained particular attention. The groundwork for Fallout 4 was laid in 2009 when director Todd Howard aimed to delve into the world of Fallout before the bombs fell. That year, a team began working on the game, including Istvan Peli, the lead artist of Fallout 3, who joined after completing the game's downloadable content. During this time, Bethesda was fully focused on developing the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which was released in 2011. The studio continued to support Skyrim with updates and DLC until 2013. Once that content wrapped up, full production on Fallout 4 kicked off, running from mid-2013 to mid-2015. Unlike its predecessors, Fallout 3 and New Vegas, which utilized the Gamebryo engine, Fallout 4 was built on the Creation engine, also used in Skyrim. The engine was significantly modified for Fallout 4, featuring a revamped character creation system. This new system allows players to customize their character's appearance without relying on sliders. Instead, users can click and drag each facial feature, enabling precise adjustments to create either a male or female character, just like in previous Fallout titles. Bethesda confirmed that the game would run at 1080p resolution and 30 frames per second on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Additionally, mobile devices would be integrated as a second screen, functioning as the companion display for the Pip-Boy. For the first time in the Fallout series, the protagonist, known as the sole survivor, is fully voice acted, which includes all dialogue options influenced by player choices. The voice roles are performed by Brian T. Delaney and Courtney Taylor. Todd Howard also announced that mods created for the PC version of the game would be compatible with the Xbox One version, with hopes to eventually extend this feature to the PlayStation 4. When questioned about the unsuccessful attempt to introduce a paid mod system for Skyrim, Howard clarified that there were no similar plans for Fallout 4. The mods crafted by PC players using the Creation Kit, which contains the official modding tools, became available on Xbox One in May 2016 and on PlayStation 4 in November 2016. Dynamic lighting in Fallout 4 allows shadows to be cast by any structure or item within the game. At the E3 2015 press conference, Howard highlighted that the upgraded Creation Engine permits next-generation God rays and advanced volumetric lighting. This engine also introduces a variety of visual effects that were absent in previous Bethesda titles, such as motion blur, temporal anti-aliasing, height fog, dynamic dismemberment, screen space reflections, and a filmic tone mapping. The improved materials system enables realistic rendering of wet textures. For example, when a rainstorm approaches, the new material system allows surfaces to appear wet, while a cloth simulation system gives life to fabric, hair, and vegetation, making them sway in the breeze. In addition to the improved character creation, the updated engine enhances fluid animations and facilitates a more engaging interaction with NPCs. Players can switch camera views according to their preference, choosing between a first-person perspective and a cinematic third-person view. This marked departure from Fallout 3's rigid conversation style allows for a more immersive experience. The protagonist is equipped with dynamic, context-sensitive dialogue, enabling players to exit conversations at will. On June 2, 2015, Bethesda launched a countdown timer that was set to expire the next day. The game's website went live a bit earlier than expected, revealing the game alongside its box art and release platforms. Although the site was briefly taken down, it returned in time for the scheduled launch. When the countdown hit 0, the trailer dropped, confirming that the game would unfold in Boston and its surrounding areas, backing up earlier rumors. Bethesda shared more details during its E3 2015 press conference on June 14th. Following the product announcement, Fallout 4 became available for pre-order. Alongside the standard version, a collector's edition was offered, featuring a wearable replica of the Pip-Boy, which can accommodate a smartphone to utilize the game's second screen functionality. As a pre-order perk for the Windows edition, an announcer pack voice featuring Mr. Handy was released for Valve's online battle arena game Dota 2. Bethesda announced that Fallout 4 had gone gold October 23, 2015, and the game officially launched for Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on November 10, 2015. Fallout 4 achieved remarkable success right out of the gate, selling 1.2 million units on Steam within its first 24 hours. Notably, it outperformed physical sales on launch day, marking a shift in digital consumption trends. With nearly 470,000 concurrent players on Steam on that day, it surpassed Grand Theft Auto V's record for the highest number of online players in a non-Valve game. Bethesda shipped an impressive 12 million units to retailers within the first 24 hours, raking in $750 million in revenue. In February 2017, Pete Hines revealed that Fallout 4 had outpaced Skyrim in sales during the same time frame, although he did not disclose specific figures. The game garnered generally favorable reviews across all platforms, as noted by the review site Metacritic. GameSpot's Peter Brown gave it a score of 9 out of 10, commenting that Fallout 4 is an argument for substance over style and an excellent addition to the revered open-world series. He highlighted the thought-provoking narrative, intuitive crafting tools, the wealth of content available, the engaging combat, and the freedom offered to players. Andrew Reiner from Game Informer also rated the game 9 out of 10, stating that Bethesda has created another game you can lose your life in. New experiences just keep coming in, and you always have another perk to unlock. He praised the significantly enhanced combat system, the denser game world, the outstanding musical score, though he had mixed feelings about the graphics. Dan Stapleton at IGN scored it a 9.5 out of 10, remarking the world, exploration, crafting, atmosphere, and story of Fallout 4 are all key parts of this hugely successful sandbox role-playing game. It is an adventure I'll definitely replay and revisit. Even the technical shakiness that crops up here and there can't even begin to slow down its momentum. Phil Savage of PC Gamer suggested that Fallout 4 is a loving production. It's filled with care and attention to detail, describing it as a joy to explore. He concluded his review by noting that many of Fallout 4's issues, just like those in previous Bethesda RPGs, stems from the very elements that make them unforgettable. Polygon rated it a 9.5 out of 10, stating, "Fallout 4 brings great gameplay to match its world and ambience." However, Destructoid gave it a score of 7.5 out of 10, mentioning that a lot of the franchise's signature problems have carried over directly into Fallout 4. Following the release of Fallout 4, Bethesda rolled out a series of patches aimed at addressing various issues that emerged at launch, while also enhancing the overall gameplay experience. The first update, known as Patch 1.2, focused on refining the game's frame rate. While this patch resolved some launch day bugs and errors, it unintentionally affected unofficial mod support. Subsequently, Patch 1.3 offered improvements to graphics across all platforms and introduced new features, including a status menu for settlers within settlements. Among the graphical enhancements, PC players received a new weapon debris effect and an ambient occlusion setting, in addition to further bug fixes. Patch 1.4 set the stage for the forthcoming creation kit and downloadable content, enriching the settlement building mechanics by adding visual indicators for newly integrated community-created content, and a variety of new items, such as Raider and Super Mutant decor. This patch also included general stability enhancements for the game. With Patch 1.5, players experienced a revamped survival mode alongside support for downloadable content, as well as additional fixes for lingering issues. As was customary with previous Bethesda titles, the passionate Fallout 4 fan community created their own unofficial patches to tackle bugs that remained unaddressed by the official updates. During E3 2016, Bethesda announced a virtual reality version of the game, which launched as a standalone title, Fallout 4 VR, on December 4th, 2017, specifically for PC on the HTC Vive platform. In December of 2022, Bethesda revealed a performance update for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions, enabling higher frame rates and supporting 4K resolution on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series systems. Although initially scheduled for release in 2023, this update was delayed and eventually reworked into native versions of those platforms. The update was ultimately launched on April 25, 2024, bringing along stability improvements, fixes for existing platforms, ultra-wide support for PC, and additional free Creation Club content. However, it also introduced a range of issues, such as disrupted mod support and user interface glitches in ultra-wide mode on PC. Furthermore, quality mode on Xbox ceased to function, and settings on Steam Deck were reset. Players accessing the game via PlayStation Plus Extra faced initial difficulties in updating their version. On February 16, 2016, Bethesda unveiled the details, pricing, and release dates for the first 3 add-ons for Fallout 4. The first add-on, Automatron, was released on March 22, 2016. This expansion allows players to construct their own custom robot companions from various robot parts, while also introducing additional quests. Following this, Wasteland Workshop was released on April 12, 2016. This add-on brings new building options for settlements, enabling players to imprison captured creatures or humans in cages, along with new decorative items like neon lights and lettering. The third add-on, Far Harbor, launched on May 19, 2016, and offers a story expansion set in the post-apocalyptic city of Far Harbor, Maine. At E3 2016, Bethesda announced 3 new add-on packages for the game. The first 2, Contraptions Workshop, which came out on June 21st, and Vault Tech Workshop, which released July 26, both follow a similar structure to Wasteland Workshop. They provide players with additional building options and decorative elements, while the Vault Tech Workshop also incorporated a brief narrative. Meanwhile, Nuka World was released on August 30th. This expansion introduces an amusement park area for players to explore, where they can choose to ally with or eliminate the raider groups living within the park. Nuka World introduces 3 raider factions: the Operators, the Disciples, and the Pack. The Operators focus on profit and a caps-driven mentality, highlighting the park's economic potential. The Disciples, on the other hand, are known for their ruthless and violent tactics, favoring close-quarters combat and intimidation. They are responsible for the Gauntlet, which serves as an introduction for players to Nuka World. Lastly, the Pack embodies a primal identity, reflected in their behavior and zoo-inspired aesthetics as they control their territory. Players who choose to side with the Raiders can broaden their influence beyond Nuka World, allowing them to conquer and dominate settlements throughout the Commonwealth. At E3 2017, Bethesda announced that Fallout 4 would include Creation Club, an in-game feature designed for purchasing and downloading custom content. Creation Club officially launched in August 2017. In 2019, a class action lawsuit was filed against Bethesda Softworks and ZeniMax Media concerning their downloadable content. The lawsuit claimed that the Season Pass was marketed as providing all of the Fallout 4 DLC we ever do for a single payment. However, with the launch of the Creation Club in 2017, those who purchased the Season Pass were required to buy additional content from the Creation Club to access that DLC. As the case was being litigated, ZeniMax and Microsoft announced their plans for ZeniMax to be integrated into Xbox Game Studios, with the acquisition expected to wrap up by June 2021. The plaintiffs sought a preliminary injunction to prevent the acquisition, aiming to ensure that Microsoft wouldn't be able to shield ZeniMax's assets if they were found liable in the lawsuit, which was anticipated to be heard in 2022. In Fallout 4, players take on the role of the sole survivor from Vault 111. Players can customize the sole survivor's name, gender, and appearance, but the man is often called Nate and the woman is typically referred to as Nora, which are the names of the player's spouse. The game begins on October 23, 2077, just as the Great War ignites, showing the player living a quiet life with their spouse and child, Sean. However, after a series of dramatic events, they emerge into a post-apocalyptic world. Fallout 4 leads players through a diverse landscape filled with different factions, each having distinct perspectives on synths. Among these factions are Preston Garvey of the Minutemen, who doesn't hold a strong opinion on synths, Desdemona from the pro-synth organization The Railroad, Arthur Maxon, who leads an anti-synth Brotherhood of Steel, and the enigmatic Father, the head of the institute where synths are created. The game's focus on synths encourages the players to emphasize with the characters, fostering feelings of distrust and uncertainty regarding whom they can rely on. As the story unfolds, players discover that characters who initially seem harmless may actually be synths. In fact, every significant faction contains at least one synth within its ranks. On the morning of October 23, 2077, a man gazes into a foggy mirror and reflects, "War never changes." His wife nudges him to stop hogging the mirror. Players can choose to embody either the woman or the man, and the protagonist wanders around their home and engages with the Mr. Handy butler, Codsworth. Soon, a representative from Vault-Tec Corporation arrives, announcing that due to their family's contributions to the country, they have been selected for entry into the nearby vault, Vault 111. The protagonist decides to confirm this information. After the representative departs, our baby, Sean, begins to cry, prompting us to spin a mobile over the crib to soothe him. Codsworth urges the family to turn on the TV, which broadcasts alarming news confirming that America is under nuclear attack. As sirens wail throughout Sanctuary Hills, residents rush to the local vault, but only those with approved access are allowed past the security checkpoint. The protagonist manages to enter the vault just moments before the explosion rocks the area. Inside, the new residents are welcomed by the Vault 111 overseer, given jumpsuits and prompted by a doctor to enter a decontamination and depressurization chamber. After what seems like only a brief time in the pod, the protagonist witnesses a mysterious man open their spouse's pod and attempt to take Sean. The spouse fights back, but the man kills them and abducts the baby. He glances at the protagonist, labeling them the backup before he escapes. After just a bit more time and seemingly just a moment, the pod opens, revealing that they have been in cryogenic stasis. The other residents have tragically perished in their pods. The protagonist mourns their spouse, takes their wedding ring, and vows to seek revenge. As they emerge from the vault, they find themselves in a world overrun with giant radroaches, realizing they are now the sole survivor. Back on the surface, the sole survivor surveys the ruins of Sanctuary Hills and learns from Codsworth that 210 years have passed since that fateful morning. After a thorough search of the neighborhood yields no clues about Sean, the sole survivor hears that survivors might be in Concord. They head there and encounter Preston Garvey of the Commonwealth Minutemen, who suggests Diamond City could offer useful leads. At the gates of Diamond City, they meet Piper Wright, a reporter banned from the city for writing speculative articles alleging that the mayor could be a synth. Piper enlists the sole survivor's help to gain entry back into the city. Once inside, they discover that Nick Valentine, a friendly synth detective, is being held captive by a gang at Park Street Station. After a daring rescue, Nick agrees to assist the sole survivor and encourages them to investigate Conrad Kellogg, the prime suspect in Sean's kidnapping. In Kellogg's house, the sole survivor uncovers a cigar that Dogmeat tracks back to Fort Hagen, where they confront and kill Kellogg. As they leave, a Brotherhood of Steel airship arrives at Boston Airport, offering the opportunity to learn about the faction and potentially join them. If the sole survivor chooses to ally with the Brotherhood, they will eventually find out that Paladin Danse has been living as a synth without even knowing it, putting the sole survivor in the difficult position of deciding whether to let him go or to comply with Arthur Maxon's orders to execute him. Kellogg, being part cyborg, has a device linked to his brain that allows the sole survivor to access his memories with help from Dr. Amari at the Memory Den. Inside these recollections, the sole survivor witnesses pivotal moments in Kellogg's life and sees that Sean has grown into a young boy. They also uncover the Institute's secrets to evading detection: teleportation. Following Kellogg's memories and Amari's guidance, the sole survivor sets out to find Brian Virgil, an escaped Institute scientist who transformed himself into a super mutant to evade capture and is now hiding in the glowing sea. Virgil explains that the sole survivor needs to obtain a cursor chip for teleportation purposes, leading them to confront and eliminate a cursor named Z247. He also advises them to connect with the Railroad, a synth liberation group, by following the Red Brick Freedom Trail through Boston. The sole survivor locates their hidden base under a church where a woman named Desdemona leads the group. She urges discretion, but offers the chance to join if the sole survivor is interested. With the assistance of either the Minutemen, the Brotherhood, or the Railroad, the sole survivor constructs a teleporter to access the Institute's facility, where they discover Sean, but not in the way they anticipated. The conversation soon reveals something unsettling about this Sean, especially when the child seems distressed by the reunion and abruptly deactivates like a synth. Shortly after, the real Sean enters the room as an elderly man, now the leader of the Institute, having aged decades while in the Institute's care after being awoken from cryostasis. Sean permits his parent to explore the facility, providing insights into the Institute's operations and its employees. The sole survivor learns that the Institute is a hub of advanced technology, capable of teleportation and creating artificial beings, including humans and gorillas. However, their management of synths leaves much to be desired, leading to the establishment of coursers and an entire department known as the Synth Retention Bureau to hunt down escaped synths. Despite their innovations, they are also unable to cure Sean's cancer. Before departing, the sole survivor meets Madison Lee, who equips them with the ability to teleport into the Institute. After leaving, the player is encouraged to side with a faction, which will inevitably upset another faction due to their conflicting views on synths and an unwillingness to compromise, particularly given Sean's firm stance that synths lack sentience. As a result, Sean, Desdemona, and Maxon each pressure the sole survivor to eliminate opposing factions. However, for those who purchase the add-ons, there are additional options to explore. They can either take a boat to Far Harbor and its mysterious storyline about a missing teenager named Kasumi Nakano, or ride a subway train to Nuka World, a tale focused on power struggles among 3 gangs in an abandoned theme park. Fallout 4 features 4 primary endings, each tied to a different faction, along with variations based on the relationship between those factions. For instance, players can achieve the Minuteman ending while still preserving both the Railroad and the Brotherhood, as long as they take down the Institute. The game allows for flexibility in how players approach these endings, as not all faction quests necessitate the failure of others. For example, players can alert the Railroad after being instructed by the Institute to eliminate it, then proceed to take down the Pridwin as part of the Railroad's mission, and ultimately return to Father for the Institute's ending slideshow. The events of Fallout 4 take place in 2287, a decade after Fallout 3 and 6 years following the events of Fallout New Vegas. The game is set in the Commonwealth, primarily covering the former state of Massachusetts and focusing heavily on the eastern regions. Boston serves as the central city of the game, surrounded by several towns and cities, including Cambridge, Concord, Lexington, Malden, Nahant, Natick, Quincy, Revere, and Salem. While some real-world locations are depicted in less detail, like Bedford, which is simply replaced by Bedford Station, there are also fictional places, such as Sanctuary Hills, where the player begins their journey. Iconic landmarks like the Paul Revere Monument, the USS Constitution, and the distinctive Massachusetts State House with its golden dome are woven into the game world. Players can explore renamed locations such as Goodneighbor, formerly Scully Square, Bunker Hill, and Fenway Park, which has transformed into a makeshift settlement known as Diamond City. In Fallout 4, the Boston area is depicted as significantly more flooded than in reality, with new rivers altering the landscape. The game features a large, inhospitable nuclear blast site called the Glowing Sea to the southwest. The starting area in the northwest is characterized by low-level enemies and feels relatively safe, but players will encounter increasingly tougher foes as they venture southeast across the map. Fallout 4 features gameplay closely linked to its predecessors, Fallout 3 and New Vegas, including the ability to seamlessly switch between first and third-person views. Players will encounter familiar foes like mole rats, mirelurks, raiders, super mutants, deathclaws, and feral ghouls. The game utilizes a Pip-Boy for players to access in-game menus, allowing them to manage their statistics, maps, data, and items. After completing the main quests, players have the option to continue exploring, a feature that returns from Fallout 3's add-on Broken Steel, enabling players to delve into the consequences of their choices. There are numerous side quests available, many of which players can tackle even after finishing the main storyline. In a significant update, the player character now has fully voiced dialogue for both male and female options. However, unlike previous games, the dialogue choices appear only as brief phrases, giving players the gist of a potential response. Conversations are crafted to feel more cinematic, enhancing character engagement through strategic camera angles and showcasing the sole survivor's expressions. Players also gain the ability to sprint, moving beyond the simple jog, although sprinting consumes action points, which can limit the use of VATS during combat initially. The companions, now featuring an affinity system, will respond positively or negatively based on the protagonist's actions. For instance, one companion might appreciate a selfish act while another could disapprove. Among the 17 companions, 7 can engage in relationships, including same-sex options. However, unlike New Vegas, Fallout 4 focuses on the emotional side of companionship rather than physical intimacy, although dialogue hints at deeper connections when resting near companions. Crafting takes center stage in Fallout 4 with a robust system that allows players to utilize nearly every lootable item in the game, termed junk. Players can also collect magazines containing minigames inspired by retro themes to enjoy in their Pip-Boy. The game launched with a free app called Fallout Pip-Boy, enabling players to sync with their mobile devices and use them as a virtual Pip-Boy. The traditional skill system has been replaced with a 7x10 perk chart, where players can acquire new perks as they level up, each with specific prerequisites based on their special attributes. Notably, there is no hard level cap, affording players greater freedom in exploration and combat. Equipments now feature an extensive range of upgrades and customization options for both weapons and armor. Unlike earlier editions in the series, weapons and armor do not deteriorate over time and no longer require ongoing maintenance. The armor system has been reworked to allow for split-piece configurations, enabling players to mix and match different sets. Power armor now relies on fusion cores for sustained performance. A returning gameplay mechanic is the Vault-Tec-assisted targeting system, crucial for strategic combat. When activated, VATS slows down real-time action, allowing players to target specific body parts to inflict varied injuries, headshots for quick kills or blinding, and shots to the legs to hinder enemy movement. The handling of critical hits has changed as well. Instead of relying on a critical chance statistic, Fallout 4 incorporates a critical meter that players can fill and activate at will. Additionally, players can now equip grenades as secondary weapons. A standout feature in Fallout 4 is the ability to build and manage settlements. With each settlement, players can dismantle objects and structures for resources, using them to construct their own buildings, gardens, defenses, shops, and crafting stations. Players can link settlements through Brahmin caravans, sharing resources between them. Each settlement can be equipped with electricity powered by a dynamic power line system, along with water pumps and gardens to ensure a steady food and drink supply. Merchants and non-player characters can inhabit these player-created towns, further enriching the gameplay experience. Survival mode presents a challenging difficulty level where both auto-saving and manual saving from the menu are disabled. The only means to save your game is by sleeping in a bed, on a mattress, or using a sleeping bag. While the exit save function is available, it creates a temporary save that is automatically deleted upon loading. Fast travel is not an option, and players must manage hunger, thirst, and exhaustion. Additionally, companions will need healing before they can recover. Fallout 4 marks the franchise's first entry to offer native mod support for consoles. During E3 2015, Todd Howard announced that the Xbox One version would feature mod support following the release of the Creation Kit for PC, which became available for download on April 26th. The mod support for Xbox One launched on May 31st. Although mod support for PlayStation 4 was initially set to roll out in June, it faced delays. By September, reports indicated that mods for PlayStation 4 had been cancelled. However, Bethesda and Sony later reached an agreement allowing mods to come to PlayStation 4 after the launch of Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition. Eventually, mods were implemented on the console, but they were restricted to using assets that were already available within the game files. Bethesda announced that downloadable content would begin rolling out in early 2016, complemented by smaller updates similar to those seen in Skyrim. The release DLC includes titles such as Automatron, Wasteland Workshop, Far Harbor, Contraptions Workshop, Vault-Tec Workshop, and Nuka World, alongside the complimentary high-resolution texture pack. Automatron is the first downloadable content for Fallout 4, which was released on March 22, 2016. Players can dive into this add-on once they reach level 15. In Automatron, the sole survivor stumbles upon a distress frequency from a caravan and discovers that it's been brutally attacked by robots. These robots, now under the influence of the mysterious Mechanist, believe that they are saving the Commonwealth. However, due to a glitch in their programming, they have come to the misguided conclusion that the best way to save the Wasteland's inhabitants is through murder. To put an end to this chaos, the sole survivor teams up with Ada, a robot and the lone survivor of a caravan attack, to track down the Mechanists and stop their reign of terror. The add-on also introduces a new element to the crafting system, the Robot Workbench. This feature allows the sole survivor to combine various parts to create unique robotic companions. These creations can join the sole survivor on their mission against the Mechanists or be used to build a personal robotic army for defending settlements, depending on the player's preference. Wasteland Workshop is the second expansion for Fallout 4, centering around the workshop feature. It introduces a variety of new world objects and allows players to create arenas where they can stage battles using captured humans and creatures. Far Harbor is the third add-on for Fallout 4, released on May 19th. This add-on transports players to Mount Desert Island, located off the coast of Maine. Here, the sole survivor embarks on a quest to find a young woman named Kasumi Nakano and uncover the mysteries surrounding a colony of synths. This journey leads to a conflict between the citizens of Far Harbor and the children of Adam, but a deeper narrative involves a synth named Dima who has ties to Nick Valentine. As the sole survivor travels to Far Harbor, they discover three factions embroiled in conflict: the citizens of Far Harbor, the Church of the Children of Adam, and Acadia, a refuge set up for synths. The escalating tensions arises from the radiated fog that envelops the island. Far Harbor's inhabitants are unable to live in such conditions and rely on machines known as fog condensers to create clean air. This practice, however, is considered sacrilege by the children of Adam, who worship radiation and view the fog as Adam's will, believing it sanctifies the entire island. Caught in the middle, Acadia seeks peace and harmony. Led by a unique synth named Dima, Acadia provides fog condensers to the townspeople while offering the children of Adam a base and a former submarine called the Nucleus. Yet, with rising tensions, Acadia feels pressure from both sides to pick a faction and take action against the other. At this crucial juncture, the player is faced with decisions that will determine the fate of Acadia and the island itself. They can choose to destroy Far Harbor, eradicate the children of Adam, or, if they have aligned with either of the three primary factions, allow the Institute to reclaim all synths or permit the Brotherhood to obliterate Acadia. Alternatively, players can work towards peace by forgiving Dima and replacing High Confessor Tectus with a synth, thereby helping to bring a truce between the factions. Contraptions Workshop is the fourth add-on and second workshop expansion for Fallout 4. True to its name, Contraptions Workshop introduces a variety of gadgets and gizmos designed to elevate your settlement building experience. It features new structures including buildings, elevators, and a track kit, expanding your creative options. Additionally, the add-on includes manufacturing machines, conveyor belts, and display cases that work together to enhance and connect the new features seamlessly. The Vault-Tec Workshop is the fifth add-on and the third workshop expansion for Fallout 4. It automatically activates when the player character reaches level 20 and is outside the Institute. Alternatively, it can also be triggered by traveling to Quincy Quarries, located just south of Jamaica Plain. This workshop expansion allows the sole survivor to build an underground vault, complete with all the vintage amenities from before the Great War. Additionally, players can introduce dwellers to conduct experiments on through a series of pre-programmed quests. Nuka World is the sixth add-on for Fallout 4, released on August 29, 2016. Players must reach level 30 to start the add-on, which kicks off when the sole survivor tunes into a new radio station, the Nuka-Cola Family Radio. However, it's possible to begin the adventure earlier by heading to the Nuka World Transit Center. After listening to a broadcast about the Nuka World amusement park, the sole survivor sets off to explore the theme park themselves. There, they must navigate a challenge known as the Gauntlet. Upon defeating Overboss Coulter, the sole survivor assumes the role of Overboss of the three raider gangs: the Operators, the Disciples, and the Pack. To take control of various sections of the park, the player can either ally with any of the gangs or choose to eliminate them entirely, though opting for destruction will lead to far fewer rewards. A complete re-release of the game, titled Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, was announced during the Fallout Day broadcast of this year. This re-release is set to launch today, November 10th. For players who already own Fallout 4, two upgrade options will be available across all platforms: the Anniversary Edition upgrade and the Creations Bundle. The upgrade includes the game's add-ons along with 150 pieces of Creation Club content, while the Creations bundle focuses solely on the Creation Club content without the add-ons. Although it's not yet explicitly confirmed, the distinction between these two bundles suggests that they will require payment for the upgrades. Gaming outlets have also reported that while the Creations and Verified Creator program will be rolled out as an update for Fallout 4 separately from the Anniversary Edition, both the upgrade packs and the Anniversary Edition itself will be paid content. Fallout 4 garnered a Metacritic score of 84 out of 100 on PC, 87 out of 100 on PS4, and 88 out of 100 on Xbox One. The game was recognized with multiple awards and nominations, including the 2016 DICE Game of the Year and 2016 Game Developers' Choice Awards Game of the Year. On its release, Fallout 4 shipped 12 million copies to satisfy day one demands. However, the game's reception took a hit due to technical issues, especially on PC, where it holds a user meta score between 5 and 6, while the PlayStation 4 version hovers just below a 7. Common problems included freezing, crashing, and quest progression logs. Bethesda eventually released a bug and stability patch roughly a decade later. Some longtime Fallout fans were less enthusiastic about Fallout 4 due to certain stylistic choices. Critics pointed out a perceived reduction in role-playing elements compared to New Vegas, with some labeling it as a looter shooter rather than a traditional RPG. Additionally, the game faced scrutiny for its forced voice protagonist, which featured a more fixed backstory rather than a blank slate. The dialogue system also received backlash for displaying only short keywords instead of full phrases, with the removal of special checks, perks, and skill requirements, though special checks were reinstated in the subsequent Fallout 76. The story and writing, overseen by Emil Pagliarillo, were criticized for several aspects. Game Rant noted that while Fallout 4 is an impressive open-world RPG, its main narrative is riddled with plot holes, inconsistencies, and elements that simply don't add up. For instance, there is a contradiction about whether synths need sleep. Max Loken claims they don't, while Curry mentions the necessity of sleep is in her synth body. The narrative also features apparent retcons. Game critics pointed out the presence of many thinly written characters. Chris McMullen from The Escapist suggested that unlike James from Fallout 3, the player's spouse and child don't spend enough meaningful time with the player, which detracts from the story since the game expects the player to care about a baby they interact with for only a brief moment. The Guardian criticized the game for enemies that felt unresponsive to attacks, describing them as bullet sponges, and also mentioned the slow pace of leveling up alongside various bugs. Cheat Code Central expressed disappointment over the absence of a cover system that would allow players to lean and shoot from behind covers, which was in the game. Fallout 4 for sure has some rough patches, and I feel like it is a divisive entry in the series. Some love what is offered, and others condemn the game for lacking major RPG elements and feeling overall shallow. Whatever the case, I enjoy my time with Fallout 4. As I said at the beginning of the video, I have a lot of fun exploring the wasteland, and Fallout 4 has some great side quests when you start to come through it. It is wild to be 10 years out from the release of Fallout 4 and thinking that we are probably still 10 to 15 years away from Fallout 5 coming to fruition. Development times are taking longer and longer these days, and with Bethesda working on Starfield DLC and The Elder Scrolls 6, the next Fallout is a distant thought. With the success of the television series and the booming popularity of the games, I imagine we will see at least a remaster of Fallout 3 in the same vein as the one that we got for Oblivion in the near future, probably within a year or so of the time that I am posting this video. While that will be a great experience, the next chapter of the Fallout series is a very exciting thought to many fans. Fallout 4 left a good example of things that worked and may not have worked so well, which leaves a good foundation for Fallout 5 to stand on when Bethesda really starts developing it. Until then, Fallout 4 offers a great time for those who are fans of the previous games, especially if you enjoy the gameplay loop that is presented, of clearing areas and salvaging junk, then bringing it back to your settlement to craft and upgrade your gear, as well as the settlement itself. I imagine that a large majority of people join the fan base at Fallout 4, and I think it's a fine introduction to the series and hopefully influences people to try the rest of the games. It's been a great 10 years with Fallout 4, and it has been fun looking back at how we got here. Thank you for checking out the video, and if you want more like this, as well as fact videos and lore deep dives, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and liking the video if you enjoyed it. It helps out the channel a lot. Thank you again, keep those spurs jangled, and I will catch you on the next one.